Two ranks form company on the left flank. Left face. March! Now we're talking. Front! In each rank, count two.
One,
Two. One, two, one, two, one, two, one. Oh, Lord. In two ranks, right face. Forward, march.
it'll be bread and water for you.
Order, arms. In place, rest.
Hello, everyone. Now we got a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. If I can scrounge up, we got some more people coming. If you want to come up to the rope line, that'll be fine. It won't be any quieter back there where you are anyway. And then bring me a t-shirt.
Sorry, Matt.
What do you do? Let me get out of the shot, gentlemen. I'll quit ruining it. South, the Confederates cut them to ribbons. They had them in a crossfire. That stone to your right over there in the middle of that field, and the reason we keep it mowed is because that's the furthest advance of the Indiana troops here. That's also because the reason they chose to put their state monument here. Although there are several other sites where Indiana will fight. But yeah. Over here where you'll go back to the encampment with the Confederates, these boulders over here is where the Massachusetts men got to and basically fell to the ground. They could go no further. But it was a needless sacrifice of blood because clearly the Union soldiers could see these Confederates were still here. But that happens in war. You know, I believe in the Second Gulf War, we lost more people to friendly fire, actually, than we did the opponent. Stewart's Brigade, who was actually there impersonating the unit that would actually have been here on July 2nd and 3rd of '63. So this is pretty neat. I want to forewarn you that the firing can be loud. For some reason, when they clear the weapons, it hurts my ears more. That'll be at the end of the program. So do not underestimate it. But my ears are ringing right now. I mean, if you're talking to me, then your mouth is moving and my head is going, you know, right now. But please don't go past this barricade. If you got small children that aren't expecting to cover their ears, pets, I don't see any, but hang on to them. Otherwise, use common sense. All right, without further ado, these 20 gentlemen that came out here today to sleep in these lavish, lush accommodations, which I have given them, these soft stones over here, are doing this free of charge, if you can imagine such a thing. And they're even sleeping in the same style that they would have in '63, which is in the field, which is basically half tents. It's a very, very basic, primitive camp, but that's how far they're willing to go to try to be authentic and to volunteer their time to give you this free program. How about a round of applause for these folks?
Okay, as Matt said, we are portraying Stewart's Brigade, which had members of North Carolina regiments, Virginia regiments, as well as a Maryland regiment, and they fought right up on that hill. Going into a little bit on the uniform, if you realize that most states supplied their troops with uniforms in the Confederacy. Maryland never seceded, so who was going to pay for those uniforms? So this is called English Army cloth, and it was imported earlier. They brought it over directly from England, and that's what the 2nd Maryland used. and they were pretty much one of the first groups to have English Army cloth this early at this point in the war in 1863. The use of English Army cloth for more commonly wasn't used until later on in 1863. But as I said, the 2nd Maryland had it earlier. We have a gentleman that's going to talk about the North Carolina regiments. His name's Mike. Mike, if you come on out. After he does his little discussion, we're going to talk about the weapon, loading the weapon. We'll do a little bit of a firing demonstration. Then I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, First Sergeant. Thank you all for being out here this afternoon with us. What I'm wearing is typical North Carolina issue. North Carolina and Georgia throughout the war did an excellent job in clothing and arming to a great extent their troops. And what I'm wearing, my jacket's a North Carolina Depot jacket made out of jeans cloth to blend the wool and cotton, and they used vegetable dyes made out of walnut and hickory husk, sumac, logwood, come up with different colored grays. Problem with that, it oxidized and turned to khaki and different browns eventually. My trousers were dyed with straight logwood. They were black. They were probably about 3 years old, and you can see they're already starting to turn. At 63, North Carolina had gotten a lot of British import leather gear, so a lot of North Carolina regiments were wearing British infantry gear. My belt's British infantry snake belt, they called it. Cartridge box is British. My cap pouch up here on my sling, it's British. My weapons are British Enfield P53 Enfield rifle musket. It's a .577 caliber, and it has a 900-yard sight. So in a good marksman's hands, this can reach out to about 900 yards. That's pretty much how I'm clad. And I'm representing a soldier from the 1st North Carolina. The other regiment was the 3rd North Carolina. The 1st North Carolina was from eastern North Carolina, from around the Elizabeth City area down till Wilson, North Carolina area, and along the coast. And the 3rd North Carolina was from the Piedmont area, from the Raleigh area, stretching up to Halifax County, which is central North Carolina, and down south towards Fayetteville.
And then there's grooves along the sides. If anybody wants to see it later, up close, let me know. And what happens is you place a cap on the cone of the musket. When you pull the trigger, the hammer comes down, strikes the cap, sends a spark down, ignites the gunpowder, and then that sends the bullet out. So just like if I take a football and I throw a nice tight spiral, it's going to go more farther, it's going to go more accurately to where I want it to go. To where if I take a basketball and throw it up, it's not going to go that far, and it's certainly not going to go exactly where I want it to go. So it's increasing the distance that you can fire on the weapon. This one, his was sighted at 900. This one is actually sighted for 600 yards. Now, going into the equipment, on my side is my cartridge box. Inside the cartridge box are my bullets. All right, so there's 2 tins. There's 10 rounds on the top of the tin, a package of 10 on the bottom of the tin. So 2 tins, 40 rounds. In my front is my cap pouch. Inside the cap pouch is that little brass cap that has a drop of fumulated mercury, and that's what I was saying, when the hammer strikes, it sends the spark down. So now, what we're going to do is show you how these men practiced learning how to fire their weapon and being proficient. All right, so there's 9 steps that they practiced, and to be considered proficient at firing the weapon, they wanted you to be able to fire 3 aim shots in a minute, so 20 seconds a shot. The whole problem is while you're going through those steps, there's somebody across the field trying to do the same thing, trying to make sure you never get a chance to pull that trigger. So I would imagine it's quite a scary experience. All right, so now, attention company. Loading 9 times, load. So their first step is they take the rifle, spring it down between their feet, the butt of the rifle. You don't want to keep it too far out, because if you previously fired this weapon and now you pour more gunpowder down, you could have what's called a cook-off. A 3 to 4 foot flame shoots out of this thing. And if there's somebody standing in front of you, you can really hurt them. if the musket is too far out, it's now pointing more towards you. You could burn yourself or hurt yourself very badly as well. And they're taking their hands, placing it on the cartridge box. The next command is handle cartridge. So they're pulling the cartridge out and they're bringing it up to their teeth. There's a little tail on the cartridge, like this, and they put that in their teeth. You needed to have 2 corresponding teeth to be in the infantry. If you didn't get out of the military, you just went to the artillery or the cavalry. Next is tear cartridge. You're tearing off that tail, exposing the gunpowder, placing it in front of the barrel. Next is charge cartridge. You're pouring the gunpowder in and pushing the bullet in. Now the problem is, the gunpowder's down here, the bullet's up the top. It's not going to work that way. So the next command is draw rammer. You're pulling out the ramrod, placing it on top of the bullet. Ram cartridge. You're pushing the bullet down, seating it down on top of the gunpowder. Now it'll work. Next command is return rammer. You absolutely have to have this to fire this weapon. You can't fire it any other way. So if you lose this, you're going to have to find another one, or else this weapon is worthless. And now returning the ramrod, you don't want to bring it down like this with your palm, because if you have one of those cook-offs, you could blow a hole right through your hand. So you want to return it with your pinky, keeping your hand safe. And then the next command is shoulder arms. All right, so now when the commander sees his regiment or whatever he's commanding at this position, he knows that they're ready and loaded and ready to fire. I didn't turn you guys around. Sorry about that. Company. Right face. Yeah, thank you. What did you say? At the halt, right wheel?
From the halt.
From the halt. From the halt, right wheel.
5 files right.
5 files right, march. All right, so now what we're doing is facing the other way, because we certainly don't want to be pointing at you with the weapon. Company, halt!
We need to prime first, Sergeant.
Front. All right, so now what they have to do is they have to prime. That was the one command I forgot to mention. All right, so the next command would be prime. They take that cap out of their pouch and then place it on the cone. Prime! And now it should be shoulder arms. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them fire as a company. And the command is, company, ready! Hey! Can you move back, sir? Sir. Be on the fire. Move back, please. Oh, sorry. Is this okay here? Yeah. Sorry. Aim. Fire! Load! All right, so now they fired the weapons. What did we just tell the enemy? We're empty. Everyone fired everything at once. They sent all their lead down. That was the whole idea of these weapons, is you wanted to mash your fire together. This way you had a better chance at hitting something. So, but we told the enemy we're empty. So if they're close enough, they could charge us. They could, do something different. So there's other ways to fire the weapon to keep sending lead downfield, but also being able to have someone that's still loaded that can protect you from any type of charge. Company, fire by rank, rear rank, ready, aim, fire, load. So now what I would do is I would give them a few seconds to start their loading process. But right now the front rank is getting very nervous. All right, the enemy's coming towards them, then they're the target. So they want to be able to fire and fight back. Front rank, ready, aim, fire, load. All right, so now that's one way. You had the whole company, you had the front rank, you had the rear rank, and now what we're going to do is fire by file. So the front rank man and the rear rank man are files. They work together. And the idea is what you want it to happen is you fire by file, they fire together. So it's boom. And the next two go boom, then the next two go boom. So if you can imagine 1,000 men, by the time they get a little further down, these guys are quick at loading, the other guys are loading, so now it's called independent firing. So you're going down the line, and as they're loading, they start firing. So you have constant fire going downfield. Fire by file. Commence firing. What they're doing is they're loading, and they'll continue firing. As soon as they're loaded, they're not waiting for me to say another word. They're just going to keep continuing firing until I tell them to cease firing. Now, there's a little bit of smoke you can see. If you can imagine several thousand men doing this all together, creates quite a cloud of smoke. It's very hard to see. So a lot of times that communication was done through drumming and through bugle playing. So as loud as somebody can be, nobody down on that side of the field is going to hear me yelling anything. Cease fire!
Cease fire.
Load and come to the shoulder.